Hi, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Cantey, and this is another episode of Living Enlightened Every Day. Today, we're exploring what is enlightenment? What is it? Why are we talking about it? Why do so many people talk about it? And so many people really don't like the word enlightenment. Of course, they don't like the word self-realization, God realization, awakening, other words either. But let's explore. Let's just demystify mysticism. So today we're talking about kind of the word. What does it mean, enlightenment? And in the introduction to my book, I wrote, have you ever wondered what life would look like if you woke up happy every day, satisfied, feeling fulfilled and energized, no matter your age, your bank account, or life situation? What would that feel like? That no matter what was going on in your world of affairs, in the world of effects, in the world of phenomenon out there, what would it feel like to just feel good no matter what? And that's what I call enlightenment. So it's not exotic. It's not strange. It's just feeling good, whole, complete, like nothing's missing. In my book, I use the word enlightenment, I think, because so many people don't like the word. My publishers didn't like the word. But I felt like, let's jump in. Let's use it. Let's demystify the idea behind it, because most of us overlook the feeling good moments that we have every single day. They're so normal, they're so natural that we overlook them. We don't think they're special because they're not meant to be special. That's our nature, is being in flow, in harmony, in life. Our true nature is joy, peace, and love. Our true nature experiences beauty and peace all the time. But it's so close to us, nearer to us than our breathing, closer than our hands and feet, that we miss it. It's like the fish looking for the water. And I think it's important to really dive into the meaning. I know there's so many people with so many different layers or levels of meaning. There's the Eastern traditions. There's the Christian, the Kabbalah, the Jewish mysticism. There's Buddhism, Hinduism, and they all kind of have these ideas. And for me, they all point back to the statement made by every religion that I've studied and that I know of, and that is there is only one God. There's only one. There's only one creator. There's only one created. There's only one creation. There's only God. So now I've learned recently, relatively recently, that this is called non-duality, non-dualism. And so it makes perfect sense to me. Before I knew these terms of non-duality, non-dualism, I would say that enlightenment is being right where you are, doing exactly what you're doing, being with whoever you are with, and seeing good, seeing love, seeing joy, seeing beauty in it, because that's who we are. That's what we are. And it's simple. In other words, being who we are is not hard to do. We all know who we are. We begin every sentence with I am, right? I am hungry. I am tired. I am this. I feel good. I am happy, satisfied. I'm dissatisfied. All these things, we know who we are. We know what we feel, what we think, what we're aware of, um, what we experienced. And who we are is so close to us that we can't go any closer to who we are. But sometimes we get caught up with the object of our experience. We get caught up with who we are as someone, as something. We say, I am a mother. I am this old. I have this house. I am living here. I am doing this. I am up for a promotion. I am earning this much money. So we get caught up in these ideas of who we think we are, but all of those things that we think we are have come and gone. In other words, I wasn't always a mother and never changed who I am when I was or wasn't. I have not always been up for a promotion or even in this career path or even at that job. Right? So that isn't the essential nature of who I am, what job, what promotion I'm up for. I have this much money in the bank, but I haven't always had that much money. So that's not essentially who I am. We get caught up in the idea of I am healthy or not, wealthy or not, satisfied or not, in a loving, kind, healthy relationship or not. I have a good relationship with my parents or not, or my children or not, all these things. And we start identifying that as who we are. But as we take away those things that come and go in our lives, as we mentally, we just kind of clear out what is not essential to who we are, what we end up with is I am. So before it's qualified by the conditions, the circumstances, the history, the stories, the things that come and go, even our body. This is not the same body I've been in for all these many years. It has changed several times over. It's not the same body I was in when I was 2 or 20. Clearly, or 50. So we start realizing that we aren't those things. We aren't the thoughts. We aren't what we're feeling, the sensation of the sitting in the chair, my feet on this floor. And every time a thought comes or goes, it doesn't diminish who I am. Otherwise, some piece of me would leave. Every time a thought would leave, every time a sensation would go, it's like, oh, there goes a little piece of Elizabeth. She's gone. Every time we forgot a story, we don't disappear. We don't stop existing. So who are we really? When we go back to this sense of inquiry of who am I? And that sense That non-duality comes in. If there's only one, if there's one essence, one thing that always is, and I am always who I am, then I must be in and of and out of this one consciousness, awareness, presence. We can call it God or spirit. We can call it love or joy or peace or beauty, so many things. And we can call it enlightenment. But the self that is the thoughts, the memories, the habits, the sensations, the feelings, the body, the mind body, the finite mind, that self can never be aware of its true nature. Only the infinite can be aware of the infinite. And the finite mind, the finite body is aware of the finite stuff, all those things that come and go. So we really don't say that the finite mind, the self, the mental practice of finding out who I am, the finite mind will never be enlightened. It's just an instrument to be in this time and space, this seeming time and space. But who I am essentially is already enlightened. But we wouldn't call that enlightenment. It's beingness. It's being. Is that right? It's just isness. So it's very, very difficult to talk about. But for me, it's light. It's light-hearted. It's light being. It's a lightness of being. I always think that, I mean, I've been told by Buddhist friends, it's like, oh, it takes lifetimes to be enlightened, thousands of lifetimes. And my first question is, how do you know what lifetime you're on? You know, how do you know what your lifetime is? Because if you're in a finite mind and a finite body, then you don't know how many lifetimes you've had, right? If you believe in reincarnation and lifetimes and all those things. And of course, I don't uh, believe that there is actual time and space. Those are concepts. Those are mental concepts that the finite mind creates, because the finite mind has memory and it thinks of things in linear time, but it's all happening all at once. So enlightenment is being right where we are, doing exactly what we're doing and seeing the good, seeing the God, seeing joy, seeing peace, because we are that peace. We are that presence. We are joy. We are beauty. We are those attributes that we would call infinite presence. And many of us call those things different times because the outer world and the way we interact with this seemingly outer world is nuanced by feelings, by sensations, by thoughts. And as those dissipate, as those relax, there is just what some people call enlightenment or awakening. There's no sense of time or space. There's no real sense of personality or personal history. There's no sense of needing, wanting, desiring. There's no judgments, attachments, reactions, or resistance to what is. That's the jar, Jarr, staying out of the jar. It just becomes a natural way of being. And it's so natural. We all do it every day. We all do it, I'm going to guess, for all of us several times a day, that we just overlook that. And once we stop overlooking that and we have that moment of, oh, that's what you're talking about. That simplicity, that ease, that natural feeling, then we start to attune to it even more and more and more. And it becomes our normal state. In my book, I say it's our natural state, but it's not always our normal state, because sometimes the mind will get caught up in everything going on out there, all the stuff, and we're identifying with with my thoughts, with my history, with my um, relationships, whether they're good or bad, I'm identifying. So if they're good, oh, I'm great. And if they're bad, I'm like, oh, miserable. But we step back from that into who we are. And there is no misery, and there is no ecstasy that comes from outside. There is our natural presence, being, awareness, being in the flow. And it is thoughtless. But as I've said before, empty mind doesn't mean no mind. Empty mind, being thoughtless, without thought, doesn't mean we can't think, but it means in that empty, open, spacious space of being, everything that we need, everything before we can imagine it is available. And it comes through this body, this uh, finite mind, this beingness, through the body into what I need to have happen. As I say, it, like if there's a snake in the living room and I'm living enlightened, I'm in the moment and I'm being very present, I notice a snake. I know exactly what to do. My body tells me, my mind tells me, spirit tells me, everything's in sync to get out of the way of a snake in the living room, which I'm happy to say hasn't happened in a really long time. Right? An alligator in the swimming pool, a bear in the backyard. I have these scenarios. If there's um, something that we need to be aware of, in awareness, we're aware of it before the finite mind could ever be aware of it, but without anxiety, without worry, without fear. That's what we call enlightenment. We say it's peace and it's joy because but it isn't even peace or joy. It's simply the absence of fear, of worry, of anxiety, of projection. What if this happens? What if that doesn't happen? When the mind stops all that, what is left? Peace, joy, happiness. So going back to that idea of I am this, that, and the other, when we return back to just I am awareness. I am aware. I am beingness. I am presence. And if we turn within and look at the nature of being, we would say things like, it's complete, it's whole, it's peace, it's love, it's joy, before it's qualified by those events and circumstances and situations that we put onto it. So we're turning within, we're turning to source and recognizing the very nature of who and what we are. And that is what we bring. So now we're not looking for it in any situations, in any circumstances, in any relationships. We stop looking. And it's so subtle because we think, all of us, if I just had that promotion, if I just got that raise, if I just would have a loving and fulfilling relationship, if if my relationship would just change, if he would just change, if my children would just do this, if I could just move into a bigger house. And we have these ideas that then we would be happy. And so we're constantly, that's suffering. Enlightenment is the beginning of the end of suffering. When we experience who we are, there's no suffering because we're not waiting for anything, no matter how big or how subtle, to bring us the joy and the peace. We're stopping, turning within if we need to, and experiencing the joy and the peace and the love that we are. And then what we see in the outside world, nothing's changed, but what we see is now we're seeing from beauty, we're seeing from love, we're seeing from joy, from peace, from fulfillment. So we cannot help but see those things. What else is there? And think of everything that you could want. If you made that list of all the things you want, I had new siding on the house. If I could buy a bigger house, if my dog was healthy, if um, it would stop raining, whatever those things are, then I could be happy. Then I could get back to my work or my relationship or my thing, this thing, whatever it is. We constantly are making these little wishes, desires, wants, and we're expecting the result to make us happy, make us peaceful, bring us satisfaction or fulfillment, or giving us space to be creative, when in fact, all of those things are who and what we are. So if we simply realized that that is who we are, we stop looking for anything to give it to us. As a matter of fact, it becomes sort of a little fun. I'll say like a trigger when our mind says, "Oh, oh, oh, I want that," and then it's like this. I don't know, this little game, this little idea that says, "Why do you want that? You think you're going to be happier? You think you're going to look good in that? You think you're going to be uh, satisfied or more creative when you get that?" And then you just go, "Oh, I'm that already. I'm that already. I am creative. I am love. I am joy. I am peace. I am in, in presence, surrounded by infinite possibility. Right? All that there is. Why do I need that thing to bring me joy or peace or happiness?" And it doesn't mean we won't get those things. We're all surrounded by stuff. We get stuff. We are constantly being put in positions to explore relationships. I mean, walking down the street, passing people, animals, um, walking by some place that has a job opening, or talking to a friend who says, "I've been thinking about you. My boss mentioned, hiring someone like you." Whatever it is, those things come, but they don't come through attachments. They don't come through worry or fear. They don't come through setting the goals as if the infinite spirit that we are doesn't already know. The in the space of infinite possibility, there is that possibility that knows everything that we need and that we rest in it easily and effortlessly. So when we experience who we truly are, there is no suffering. And when there is no suffering, suffering is wanting what isn't, right? Resisting what is. That's suffering. It's like, if only, or why does this have to happen? But being in the flow of life is joy. Wishing that things could be different is suffering. And it's that simple. Remembering, realizing that we are that which we are already seeking. I think that's Meister Eckhart said. We are what we are looking for. The eye through which I see God is the eye through which God sees me. I think Meister Eckhart also said, God is when we are not. God is when we are not. And what that means to me is that spirit, the infinite possibility, the presence of peace and love and joy is when my finite self, the wishing, the wanting, the desiring, the limited thinking, the historical thinking, the memories, the habits, when that stops, there's God. There's spirit, there's life living itself as me. That's a freaking miracle. I mean, that's amazing. What else would any of us want except to be at peace, fulfilled, satisfied, creative, joyful, and loving? Why would we need anything when we're already that? That's a good question. That's a good question. Why do we need anything when we are all that? When we stop looking for things to bring us peace, for things to bring us satisfaction, for things to, even the subtle, it gets subtle. When we want things to make sense, when we want more and more knowledge, wisdom, when we're reading book after book after book, it gets more and more subtle that we think, oh, then I'll get it, or I'll understand more. It's like we don't need to know more. We just need to be knowing more. We don't need to know anything else if we're resting in infinite possibility. There is perfect wisdom. Everything we could ever want or know or need is right there, right where we are. I am. So I love that enlightenment it's not exotic. And I know that there are traditions that use words like ecstasy and bliss, and there are states of consciousness that are ecstatic and they are blissful. But if something is coming like a state of bliss where I'm just blissed out and I just can barely even speak, and then it goes, that's not enlightenment. Enlightenment, our natural state, has never gone anywhere. It doesn't come and go. We, the finite self, may dip into the ocean of infinity and come back out. And we may think it's leaving us, but it's not. It's us that are walking away. We're stepping away. We're stepping into the finite. We're stepping into the known. We're stepping into what's comfortable. We're stepping into what's always been. We're holding on to the stories of who we think we are rather than swimming in the ocean of our true nature, all that we essentially are, have always been, and will always be. That which was never born can never die. We are eternal. We are not limited to time and space, although our finite mind and body will tell us that we are. Our finite mind and body say, oh, this is what I had for breakfast. That was earlier. This is what I'm going to have for dinner, which will be later. The time is always now when we know that. When we know that it is right now, the thought comes in this moment now. There's only now. So being present to this moment now is being present to the infinite, and it is our natural state, and we don't have to try to get it. We don't have to be good to get it. We don't have to be different to be in that state. We don't have to get anything to be. Um, yeah, it's right here, right now, in this moment. And there's everything we've ever looked for in this moment is available to us. And that is the hard part, I guess, if I were to say, use those words. That's when all of life, not life with a capital L, but all of our culture, our media, our most of, I can say, my friendships, my family, it's all telling us that that isn't what's important, being present and being aware, because there's a lack of understanding. There's an identification with the more that I have, more secure I am. The more money that I make, the more freedom I get. The if I'm in a relationship, then I can finally experience love, because we forget that we are love. We can experience it whenever we want. We are freedom. We are infinitely free. Consciousness has never been bound by anything, just like the spacious sky of awareness has never been tainted by a cloud, a hurricane, a fire, a volcano. Nothing. Nothing can leave a mark on the infinite freedom that we are. And the security of who we are has never been questioned. It's it's the reality, the only thing that is real. So as long as we're looking outside of ourselves, we experience the suffering. And as long as we are remembering that anytime something kind of tweaks us and we say, oh, if I had that, oh, my life would be better. Just hmm, because I think it'll make me happy, because I think I'll be more creative under those circumstances, because I think I'll experience more love. Hmm, I'm just gonna take a moment and be the love that I am. I'm gonna be the creative expression of spirit that I am. I'm gonna be all that I am in this moment now. It's right here. It's never been anywhere else. Before going to bed tonight, just take that moment of realization. Most of us have that time where everything's been done for the day, and we've decided that the body's tired enough and the mind just is ready to just turn off, the finite mind, and we're ready to go into that wonderful space of consciousness, of sleep. And everything turns off and we are renewed and rejuvenated, right? That moment before we hit the pillow and our head hits the pillow or sinks into the pillow, and it's just that feeling. And you can realize in that moment that there is no suffering, regardless of what is happening in your life, that there is no want or need or desire. That is that state of sweet surrender. It's just the most beautiful thing. We're not surrendering to something, somewhere, someone. We're surrendering all those ideas of what we thought we needed or wanted or had to have or had to do or had to be. Wow, that surrender is peace and love and joy and maybe a little bit of ecstasy in there, we drift off to sleep. That's enlightenment. That moment. We can have them. Every moment we do that, all we have to do is just go, I let go. I let go. I surrender all those things. What's left? Me. I am. Presence, awareness, beingness. And it's not passive. It's not nothingness. It's full. It's alive. It's life. It's love. I hope I answered a few questions this week. I've been getting a few of them. So thank you for your PMs and your emails. I appreciate the comments. It's very enlightening for me. And there's more. I write about it in my book, Living Enlightened, Joy of Integrating Spirit, Mind, and Body. And I believe it's simple. And reach out to me. Let me know. Do you believe it's simple? Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope I can demystify the idea of enlightenment a little bit. I have no problem with that word, obviously. And knowing that it is always who we are. It is the most natural thing to be. It is the essence of spirit knowing itself. I'm Elizabeth Cantey. You can check out more on my website, elizabethcantey.com. You can read my book, Living Enlightened, The Joy of Integrating Spirit, Mind, and Body. It's on Amazon now. And I hope you just spend time this week knowing the truth of your being, laughing, loving, living enlightened every day.
Thanks for watching. Join us again next Tuesday at 7 a.m. Mountain Time for Living Enlightened with Elizabeth Cantey. Integrating your spirit, mind, and body. Learn more at www.ntmedia.org.